Hey everyone, welcome to today's 2 p.m. Facebook Live. My name is Devon Monahan. I'm the product sales team leader out of our Cincinnati office here with Girl Scouts of Western Ohio. And I'm super excited to share with you guys one of my favorite Girl Scout traditions and favorite camp art projects. Basically, you can do it anywhere, but I learned it at camp. I'm going to show you guys how to do friendship sticks. So while we're waiting for some of our other friends to join us, I'd love if we could get a couple of comments. Tell me where you're joining in from and what's your favorite camp craft. So as I mentioned, friendship sticks is one of my favorite camp crafts that you can do. Again, you can do them anywhere, but I learned it at camp. So what other things do you guys like to do at camp? Or maybe outdoors, or what kind of crafts do you like to do? So like when I think about back in my days as a Girl Scout at Camp Stony Brook here in Girl Scouts of Western Ohio, I loved making candles. I remember making frames out of twigs. I loved painting rocks. I collected fossils for a really long time. I still have some of my favorites upstairs. What were some of your favorite camp crafts? So, see, we got some people joining us. Ooh, California and Southern New Jersey. Welcome, welcome. So glad to have you guys here joining us. Got Riley from Belding. I love it. So many people coming from all over the place. Riley loves the climbing wall. Ooh, I love the climbing wall too. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at it. I try really hard, but definitely not one of my personal strengths. So if you can make it to the top of some of those difficult climbing walls, that's amazing. That is really cool. What else? Do we have any other favorite camp crafts before we start talking about the friendship stick? Ooh, Marissa said she loved wood burning at camp. That's a cool one. I bought a wood burning toolkit a couple years ago to try my hand at a couple of different things. And that's a pretty tricky one to learn and do well. But Marissa, I know you're probably really good at that one. Okay, so it looks like we've got a good amount of people joining us already. So again, my name is Devon. I'm here to teach you guys a little bit about one of my favorite Girl Scout traditions, which is the friendship stick. As we're doing this, you notice we're in my dining room right now. You might see one of my cats jump by. Sometimes when I'm on different videos, they like to make an appearance. So if you see one of my cats, just make sure you say hello. I'm sure they'll come up and stick their nose right in the camera. But hopefully they don't, because we've got some paint going on and I don't want little kitty footprints going all over the place. So if you have never heard of a friendship stick, it's definitely an older tradition. I don't know how long it's been around, but I haven't seen it as much lately, and it's something that I learned back when I was at camp. And basically, it's something that you can make to share your friendship with another person, and there's a lot of symbolism in it. So there's different parts of it that we'll explain as we're going on. I've got some notes over here so that hopefully I don't forget any parts of it. But it's literally just a stick. So I've got a stick here that I pulled out of my backyard last week. It's kind of rainy today, otherwise I'd be doing this outside. And we're going to paint on it. And like I said, there's a lot of symbolism. So everything that we paint means something. So we'll share with you guys afterwards a little PDF that you can download with the instructions and all the symbolism, so you don't have to try to remember everything today. But there's things like it symbolizes like the wood in this stick represents the endurance and strength of a friendship. So you want nice, good, hard wood. Most sticks that you find have some curves in them. So mine's not perfectly straight. Some of them are even curved more, and that kind of helps symbolize the curve of the earth. and how your friendship might go all the way around the world, and especially as Girl Scouts, we talk about friendships being in a circle. So this obviously isn't a circle, but it's got some of those curves in there. So it's just some of those things that we'll kind of talk about. Now, with my stick, this is one I got ready, like I said, last week as I was preparing for this. You can find one that just really speaks to you. Maybe it represents your friend a little bit that you might be giving this to. It can be big, it can be small, it's really up to you. These are going to be really individual because every friendship is kind of individual too. And when you get that ready, if you want to do a big one, so say you want it to be on a walking stick, something that you can like really walk with, or you want it to be little, like on a keychain, but you're going to get that. And you'll see I took most of the bark off of this. I used my pocket knife to do that. So if you've learned how to use a pocket knife and you want to use that to get rid of your bark, you're more than welcome to do so. So I have my Swiss Army. And, the main thing that I would just recommend with that, I was just going to do a really quick little demonstration for you, is tilt this down a little bit. You're just going to make sure that you're keeping slow movements moving away from you. Okay? So I got most of this ready. I decided that I liked some of this brown on here, some of the kind of inner layer of the bark, so I left it on. If you don't like it, you can take it off. That's up to you. And you can even use some sandpaper if you've got some different spots that maybe didn't get as smooth, or if you're just more comfortable using sandpaper versus a pocket knife, you can just rub that on there and get it nice and smooth, take any bumps or anything like that that you might not want on your friendship stick. So after you've got your stick and you've got that prepped and ready to go, you're going to make sure you just have all of your supplies ready. So with any craft, I like to make sure I've got everything ready before I go. So I've got my paint tray ready to go. It's just a paper plate from La Rosa's. I've got a cup of water to clean out my paintbrush. Tiny little paintbrush. I'm using a small one since I've got a small stick. If you are using a bigger stick, you can use a bigger brush. If you're using even smaller than this one, you might want a smaller brush, or if you don't have paintbrushes, you could even try like a Q-tip or something like that. So just use the supplies that you've got. As I showed you, I've got my paint out on a plate already, but not a bad idea to have some extra paint nearby, just in case you run out. This does not take a lot of paint at all, so don't feel like you have to have gallons of paint ready to go. And then I put down just something to cover my table. I used a cardboard box so that if I drip, it's going on the cardboard and not going on my dining room table. Okay, so let's get into it now. I'm going to tilt this down so that you guys can hopefully see what I'm doing here. So I've got my stick right out in front of me. And the first thing that I'm going to paint on there is the eyes. So you're going to first pick, where do you want your top, your bottom. I like this part being kind of at the top. I think it's kind of unique to be on the top. So I think I want my eyes to be somewhere in there. And what you're gonna do, you might be tempted to paint the eyes the same color as your own eyes, but you wanna do one eye in blue and one eye in brown. And the eye in blue is to represent all of the light eye colored people in the world, and the brown eye is to represent all the dark eyed people in the world. So again, there's lots of symbolism in this, and if you've never heard that word symbolism, this is just a way to kind of compare two different things and describe things in a new way, kind of. So I'm gonna go ahead over here, get my paint ready. You don't need much at all. You don't need to get your whole paintbrush in there. And I'm just gonna do one eye in blue. Gonna rinse off my brush. That's why I've got my water over there, and I've got a paper towel here too, so I can kind of wipe off some of the extra paint that might get on my brush. And I got my brown eye right next to it. So let's see if you guys can see that. Whoop, brown eye, blue eye, really small. I got a thin stick, so they're right next to each other. And how you guys want to do that, you know, again, every friendship and every person is unique. So while there's a lot of things that we're going to go through, that we're going to show you specific ways to do it, feel free to make it a little bit your own. So I just did little dots for my eyes, but if you want to make them different shapes, you can kind of work on that too. Now we're going to add the smile. I'm going to do my smile in just a black. And when we think about smiles, we think about we think about things that we enjoy, what makes us happy, and sometimes we're happy from giving, sometimes we're happy from receiving. So this smile is just to remind us about those happy things when we're giving and we are receiving. And I'm just going to quickly paint that on there. Now I will say, because I left some of that brown bark on my stick, again, this was my preference. It makes it a little bit harder to see some of these details. So if you like the extra brown bark, leave it on there. If you want to be able to more easily see some of those details, you might want to take the rest of it off just because it starts to blend in just a little bit. So just a really quick smile there. If you want to add a nose, you can add a nose. That's up to you. I think I'm just going to give him a little dot for a nose. And then rinse off my brush one more time. Okay. Now, so this part is where it gets a little bit more complicated. You're going to make an X, kind of in the chest. So I'm going to go down a couple inches from his face, and we're going to use 5 colors to create this X, or a tie, if you will. And those 5 colors are green, black, blue, red, and yellow. And those colors are representative of all the different colors of the flags kind of around the world. So we're hoping that one day our world can experience togetherness, and we can fly in peace together. So that X there, or that tie, represents those flags all flying in peace together, and our hope that one day our world can do that. So you're going to paint one part of your X at a time, and this, I apologize, this is going to be kind of hard to see, so I'll paint and then hold it up and show it to you guys. We've got one part of the X going on down here. Just trying to get just enough paint on here so you guys can see it. So right now it just kind of looks like one little blob while we are adding in the other sides. On the opposite of the green goes the red. So they're kind of creating 2 different sides of the same line. And then we're going to bring in our blue. Don't worry, I'll hold it back up so you guys can see what I'm doing. And our yellow. So we've got our X right there with our different colors. And right in the center, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to add in a little bit of black to tie those colors together. So there we go. Just a little X. And again, that's to represent the colors of the flags around the world and them coming together and symbolizing the peace that we hope that we can have one day. Okay, rinsing off my brush again. Gotta get it fresh. If you've got extra paintbrushes, you can always just have a paintbrush for each color that you've got. And now we're going to paint some buttons. So this is kind of this is our person, got his face, his tie, and we're gonna do some buttons, or she, down the front. And those are pretty simple. We're just gonna do the colors of the rainbow straight down the front of our friendship stick. And that rainbow is to kind of symbolize the connection that we can all have with the spirit of friendship. So the rainbow, or the spirit of friendship, and us coming together with those colors. So I'm going to do these in rainbow order. Got our red. Try to get that centered, and you can do these really as big as you want, because I want them to show up. I want them to look good. I'm going to do some big buttons. Oops, some of my orange is drying out already. I got it mixed up earlier today, and it's got to get a little bit more mixed together so it comes on thick. I didn't have any orange paint, so I had to just mix my red and yellow together. And one thing that, if you don't have paint at home and you can't go to the store to get some, but if you've got crayons or markers, you can always try it that way too. Maybe you don't have a stick that you can use, but you can find kind of another way to, create this. Maybe instead of using a stick, you use a toilet paper roll and you color on that instead. There's different ways that you can try to recreate this if you don't have all of the supplies. That's a good opportunity for you to get creative. So we've got our red, orange, yellow. Hopefully I'm not making these too big that not all my buttons fit. Green. Just doing the colors of the rainbow here. While I'm working on painting these on, maybe you guys can drop in the comments what your favorite colors are, or maybe even do you know what your best friend's favorite color is? And while we're doing this to kind of show specific things, maybe you could add on the back your friend's name in their favorite color. So if you're thinking about your best friend, what color would you use to paint their name on the back? That's just an idea. Almost done. Got my blue. Hopefully my purple is still, there we go. I had to mix my own purple too. So it's not the most purpley purple, but I like this shade. Okay. So let me hold that up so you guys can hopefully see all of that. We've got our rainbow buttons down the front to represent kind of that spirit of friendship. And after we have that and we're kind of letting it dry a little bit, there's a couple more places that we're going to bring in, specifically green. If you're a Girl Scout, which I think most of you are, we might have some girl guides or maybe some girls that have never joined or thought about being a part of Girl Scouts or Girl Guides before. But green is a very prominent color for Girl Scouts, and we like to use it a lot. You notice that it's part of our trefoil, which is our symbol. We use it for, my shirt is a Girl Scout shirt. We use it for a lot of different things. So we're going to paint the top of this green, and that's to represent Girl Scouts. Kind of like, I like to think of it as green hair. I think having green hair might be kind of fun. One of my good friends, she's dyed her hair green before. But don't dye your hair green unless you have permission from your parents. for whoever you're living with. Or maybe you can try spray paint on Halloween or something like that. I spray painted my hair purple one time. And when I took a shower to wash it out, my whole body turned purple because there was so much spray paint in my hair. Okay. Because I've got some little nooks and crannies up on the top, it's just taking me a little bit longer to make sure I got that nice and covered. I'll try to get a straight line kind of across the forehead there. There you go. Oops. I might go back and do a little bit of touch up a little bit later. Tilt that up so you guys can see it. So now we got a green head. So we got a green hair or head to represent the Girl Scouts, the eyes, the tie to represent the flag, and then the rainbow buttons to represent the spirit of friendship. And then, let's see, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, I almost did. On the bottom here, we're going to add, kind of like we did across the top, we're just going to add another green button at the bottom. And that's to represent the Girl Scout Promise and Law and the fact that we accept the Girl Scout Promise and Law. So I don't know if you guys do this at your Girl Scout meetings, but when I was growing up and I was a Girl Scout, every troop meeting that we did, we started with the Girl Scout Promise and Law to remind us about what we were going to do that day and to remind us to live by the Girl Scout Promise and Law. So we definitely accepted it. I'm a Girl Scout for life. I have a lifetime membership. So I always try to think about the Girl Scout Promise and Law and how I can live that throughout my daily actions. Now, one more step that we're going to do on the back, actually. So I'm going to try to hold this so that I don't accidentally stick my finger in wet paint. We're going to add just a rectangle kind of in the middle on the back in blue. And that blue represents faith, hope, and charity, and that we want that for all people. I'm going to do mine kind of small. You don't have anything else going on the back, so if you want to do it bigger, you can. I'm just going to put mine kind of right in the middle. Don't worry if it's not perfectly straight. Especially when you're working on curved surfaces, it's hard to get paint super straight, so that's okay. All right, so now our friendship stick is totally painted. Let me tilt the camera back up. Okay, so I'm going to run through each of the different parts one more time, and then there's actually a really short poem that I'm going to read to you guys with this so that if you do decide to create a friendship stick and gift it to somebody, you can either tell them the poem or you can write it and share it with them, but it's just a nice way to share some of that special meaning with them because they might not know what all of these things mean and they might not know how special this friendship stick is. So as a reminder, on the top we've got green to represent Girl Scouting. We've got a blue eye and a brown eye. And the blue eyes to represent all of the light-eyed people in the world, and the brown eyes to represent all of the brown-eyed people in the world. We've got a smile, just because, you know, giving and receiving hopefully makes us happy, and it makes us smile, so it's to represent that. We've got this kind of X tie in the middle with the different colors. So we've got red, blue, yellow, green, and in the center black. I know it's kind of hard to see, at least on my camera. But those represent the different colors of the flags around the world, and they're being tied together because we want to hopefully live one day in a world where all the countries are at peace with each other and we can fly our flags together. And then we've got buttons down the front in rainbow order. So we've got red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And those represent the spirit of friendship, and it's the rainbow and the spirit of friendship within that. And then at the bottom we have another green button. That one is to represent the Girl Scout Promise and Law, and that we're accepting the Girl Scout Promise and Law. On the back, we've just got a blue square, and that is to represent hope and charity and kind of goodwill for everyone. All right. Okay, so let me read my little poem for you guys now. This little stick means friendship of a very special kind. A friend is great, you know, a very nice to find. It is made by the giver from a stick off the ground, just as friendship is unexpected places can be found. It is bent to fit the curve of the earth. It can also be a smile full of mirth. Share your stick with a newfound friend. You might find that sharing will never end. So we'll share that in the comments. You can come back and you can find that later. Got a whole little PDF here so that if you want to remember what all of the colors are and what they all mean, you can come back and find that. But really encourage you guys to get creative, find one that you can share with your friends and let them know how special their friendship is to you. This is a great way to do that. And make it unique. So if you want to make it bigger than this, you can make it bigger. If you want to make it smaller, you can make it smaller. Every friendship is unique. Every person is unique. So make it your own. And that's really all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. I think tomorrow we've got in the morning the Daisy Space Explorer badge. So we hope that you'll join us tomorrow morning for our next virtual badge opportunity. And, you know, as always, if you're not already a Girl Scout, we'd love to have you join us. You can go to girlscouts.org/join and we'll find a troop for you. Wherever you are, there's a Girl Scout troop in every zip code, so we can probably find you a troop. And we hope you really have enjoyed this. So thank you guys for sharing this time with me. If you want to drop in the comments who you're going to be sharing your friendship stick with, we'd love to hear more about that. Or you can come back and share your finished product with us too. Thank you guys, enjoy, and wherever you are, if it's raining, I hope it dries up for you soon. Have a good day.